I really want to buy some Japanese maples, but where should I go?
You should shop at MrMaple.com. They're the best place to buy Japanese maples online. Now you know, no one's half the battle.
Yeah!
We changed spots, so it looks totally different from the last video.
It totally does. Hey y'all, I'm Tim, and welcome to the Mr. Maple Show.
Guys, I'm Matt, and today is the 10 at 10 for January 18th of 2024. We got some dope trees for you. Let's get into it.
Guys, first up, we got Acer palmatum, Sukasa dwarf.
Mi casa, Sukasa, put this one out at your casa. It's an amazing tree. Sukasa dwarf hails from Sukasa Maple Nursery, the same guys that brought you Sukasa Silhouette. Outstanding introduction. I love this one. I think as it grows in popularity, it's going to be even more popular for that bonsai scene. This is a great small leaf dwarf that looks outstanding in a big container or in the ground.
It really is. It has a nice upright shape to it, small leaves. The new growth can get some little funky kind of look to it, which gives it a little bit extra out there as well. It's a small little green Japanese maple by our good friend Yutaka Tanaka at Sukasa Maple. And this is a cool plant, extremely rare. You can get it at MrMaple.com today at 10 a.m.
Yeah, this is distinctly more of an upright than a Kiyohime form. It is a dwarf. It does get a little bit of a border to it. Excellent small leaves though. Great if you just want a small dwarf in the landscape, but I think this one's just going to grow in popularity as it gets out there more. Hasn't been offered much in the U.S. yet.
So guys, smash that like button. You're going to love our 10 at 10 for today. Go ahead and smash that like button before you leave. Guys, coming up next, we got another cool one for you.
We got Joe in the intro making his Mr. Maple TV show debut. We got Kikuchi Joe on the table for you right now.
Many of y'all might not know Joe yet, but he actually edits a lot of our videos here on Mr. Maple, and he's a killer photographer. So if you've noticed a lot of cool photography happening on the Mr. Maple website, you know, a lot of that is now coming through Joe.
Kikuchi Joe, excellent plant, y'all. This one is one of my favorite fall color Japanese maples. It's an upright green that continues to bring it. Kikuchi Joe may be my favorite yellow. I think we kind of underrated it a little bit in our top 100 fall colors. I could see it even being higher on the list for me. I have one of these at a rental property that my parents own, and the fall color is outstanding. I mean, it could actually rival ginkgos for that fall color.
And it gets that yellow out there infused with golden orange in that as well. So it gives this multitude of colors kind of effect. I mean, for a fall color, Japanese maple is one of the best fall colors out there. Acer palmatum, Kikuchi Joe.
Now, I happen to know, a little insider information here, this is one of the favorite trees for people to go through for seed, especially in Japan. Brian Upchurch, who used to work in Japan, we bought his business out Highland Creek in 2013. He always said Kikuchi Joe is one of the most interesting trees to go through seed. And his friends in Japan go through it often because those seeds show so much diversity. You get lace leaves, you get uprights. So if you're somebody who likes to look for new cultivars or likes to look for things from seed, check out Kikuchi Joe. It might be a great starting point for you.
So next up, we've got Acer palmatum, Sojo namura.
Now, this one means beautiful red-faced monkey, and it is an outstanding tree in the early spring. I love that bright, almost pink-red display it puts on early on.
Bright red in the spring, a little more bright, picked up maroon red during the summer, and then a bright red in the fall. Sojo namura really brings it as an upright red, and gives you a little bit brighter color out there in the landscape.
We can say bright a few more times. It is outstanding. The fall colors are great too. You get some really picked up reds, and it's an older cultivar. You don't see this one around as much anymore. Been around a while, from Japan. Excellent tree, Sojo namura. All right, rising from the grave. This one's kind of creepy. We should put this one out on Halloween. We've got Acer campbellii, bony fingers.
Y'all, this is a zone 7 through 9 plant. It is a Makawa type of Acer campbellii. So it's got this unique, tight, compact habit, but the foliage itself looks like little fingers out there.
Yeah, I guess the name comes from how it almost has a Makawa-like trait, and it looks like it's almost leafing out. It's got these little, I mean, I guess look like bony fingers on it, even out of leaf. I like the tree in leaf a lot. It's got a dope leaf. It's got a great color to it. It's got kind of a lime green to almost blue-green, emeraldy color to it some parts of the year. It's a unique one. Again, not all the way down to zone 5. Put this one in a little bit warmer climates. Great plant for container gardening. It's a great one for people in warmer zones that want something kind of like a Makawa. I love that about it. This is grafted onto Acer palmatum, so it is closely related to Japanese maples.
And this is the very first time that Bony Fingers has hit the website on MrMaple.com. So it's going to sell out fast. Make sure you check out fast because our website doesn't hold it for you until you complete that checkout process. Guys, we've got an open house coming up the first weekend in April. You better be here.
That's going to be April 5th and 6th. You can check our website for the full breakdown on times. Guys, it's going to be a great time. There's a lot going on here. Anytime we open our doors, we try to blow your socks off with outstanding, crazy plants. There'll be some day of exclusives when that happens. Definitely be making plans to be here the first weekend in April.
Remember that time I had the guy who was from a nudist colony and I told him that Japanese maple is really going to knock your socks off? Anyways, next up.
I don't remember that.
Next up, we've got Acer palmatum Dragon Tears.
Guys, Dragon Tears is a fun plant. Think of this one kind of like a Moriyama. It's a semi-pendulous tree. It makes a nice upright habit with a lot of spiraling out branches that then can weep down. It's not quite a red Rayusin. A lot of people thought early on that Dragon Tears was going to be a red Rayusin, and I don't want to disappoint them with that because it's definitely not that. But if you grow it for what it is, it's an excellent plant. Brian loved this for that heat tolerance in Oklahoma. It's got a lot of color in Oklahoma in high heat areas. You can get some weird bright pink going on over top of the new growth in midsummer and a great picked up red in the fall. We happen to have one of these downtown in Hendersonville on Maple Street, and it eats up the heat as a street tree in a parking lot. So it's basically between railroads and parking lot on Maple Street, outside, doing its own thing, looking exceptional.
I like it because it has a unique shape and a unique habit. This really grabs people's attention because it has the leaf like a typical upright red. Really is a pretty cool plant.
Great plant to be growing. I think you're going to love Dragon Tears. There's some great size 1 gallons right now on MrMaple.com. Some of these we're going to even have a hard time putting into a 1 gallon box. All right, y'all. Next up, we got Bronze Age. Hit you with the bony fingers. Watch out.
Guys, Bronze Age. This is an amazing plant. It's Talon Buchholz's wife's favorite tree that he's ever introduced. This is an Acer Shirasawa that leaves out. It gets some nice bronze colors in the spring. It gives you some really nice bronze color in the new growth. And the fall colors are some really nice yellows with the hints of orange.
This is my favorite new Shirasawa. It's great. I think this pairs well with Moonrise if you're a Moonrise fan. I love those just pink-red colors it gets, especially in the new growth midsummer. The fall colors that are yellow are shocking because you don't expect a tree that's so weirdly colored to go yellow in the fall, from all those mauves to oranges to reds it kind of throws on. A really colorful plant throughout the season. Our employees tend to snatch these up in the fall because they're not only yellow, you can get some splashes of pink and stuff in there early. Love this tree. Makes a nice mid-sized tree, typically at around 6 to 8 foot in 10 years. I do recommend a little more late day shade for most of your Shirasawams. Likely has some palmatum hybridization going on here because it is quite vigorous for a Shirasawa.
And also the leaf is a little more divided than something like a Moonrise, but for a full moon maple, this plant is simply amazing. To me, it's one of Talon Buchholz's best new introductions. I love Bronze Age.
Great size 2 gallons here on the table today. Grab a Bronze Age. All right, guys, next up we got Benny Hoshi.
Y'all, Benny Hoshi, also known as Ruby Stars. This is a small little red dwarf. Looks like ruby stars out there in the early spring. Gives a nice brick red color, and it really lights up the landscape, going to more of a yellow-orange in the fall.
Yeah, another one that'll shock you with that fall change. I mean, this one, you don't expect it to be a golden yellow in the fall on Benny Hoshi. Introduction by Del Laux Nursery. Just an outstanding plant. I love what it does. It's a mid-sized, upright red, a little smaller than Fireglow, so it fits in a lot of landscapes that you don't want something that gets too big. Think of it in that 8 to 10 foot range, even in 10 to 15 years. Guys, I love this one for its density. It's full, it's thick, and then it goes to that golden yellow, which really just shows off from being a almost pink red sometimes.
This is such a beautiful tree, and I like it because it has that Aminum style foliage. It has an upright habit and is extremely dense. A lot of red dwarfs you think about, they're small, compact. And while this is compact, it has an upright habit that gives you a nice vertical interest out there, even being a small dwarf.
You'll see some places that say Benny Hoshi and Ruby Stars are different plants, but I'll let you know the translation for Benny Hoshi is Ruby Stars. We do find those to be the exact same plant.
And Olson is credited for introducing one of them, and Del Laux is credited for introducing the other. The truth is they're cousins.
And they introduced a lot of plants together.
They introduced a lot of plants together, exactly.
All right, let's bring back Alpen Weise. This is an introduction by the late, great Bob Baltzer. Now, we've featured Bob in a few of our videos. Bob's since deceased. We love to go and visit him. Bob, Talon told us to go visit one of his mentors, which was Bob Baltzer, and it didn't disappoint. Bob was a funny, charismatic guy, and I really cherished our time together. Introducer of Nanyat, but probably what he's most famous for is Alpen Weise.
Now, he often would go around and collect seeds off of trees around the county, and Alpen Weise was just a chance seedling that he found from collecting around there. It was really cool. I mean, it has this really unique shade of variegation to it. It's in that Higashiyama vein style variegation. It's pretty awesome. And it's one of those trees that gives you an intense color in the spring that just grabs your attention.
One of my favorite stories when I was visiting Bob, and I think I could say this because the online store is no longer around, but he was joking about this online store that used to be around that Bob did business with, and they had in their description that Alpen Weise was a famous skiing family from the Alps that found this tree, and he's like, the guy that wrote that knows me. He knows me personally, and he knows he got the tree from me. So not all descriptions you read online are great. We always try to keep it accurate and give people the credit that they deserve when they introduce a great tree. Awesome introduction here by one of Talon's mentors, Bob Baltzer.
Who isn't from Switzerland.
Yeah, just a really cool guy. All right, we've got Hub's Red Willow, y'all.
Hub's Red Willow is
Hub's Red Willow.
definitely not Hubb's. H-U-B-B, Hub's Red Willow.
A lot of people mix this one up with Hup's Dwarf because Hup's is H-U-P-P and Hub's is H-U-B-B. And those two things, you want the same guy to have introduced something cool. Hub's actually comes from Red Maple Nurseries, though.
And it's one of Red Maple's introductions. It has a really nice upright form, stays fairly narrow, red linear lobum, so it gives you that bamboo aesthetic out there in the landscape. Really nice, vigorous tree, bright red in the spring to maroon, and then gives you a brighter red in the fall.
Billy Schwartz is coming back to visit again this spring, so maybe I'll have to ask him who Mr. Hub was, whose Red Willow this was, Mr. Hub or Mrs. Hub, who was all the hype about that was Hub's. Now, I've had people say, I think it's Hub's in the industry, and we went one time with Ed Shin to one of the original catalogs to prove that correct, that Red Maple Nurseries has this as Hub's, H-U-B-B-S. Outstanding upright linear lobulum. I love what linear lobulums bring. I say this often, but I don't know that there's anything that has that relaxing, wind chime, Asian garden quality like a Japanese maple that's a linear lobulum. It's got everything you want in that bamboo-like garden, but with red foliage and non-invasive root systems.
Now, this has also been sold a few times as just Red Willow. Hub's Red Willow is the full and correct name.
Gotta give that Hub guy credit, whoever he is.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Hub, Mrs. Hub.
So, guys, coming back to MrMaple.com in some good-sized 3 gallons, guys. We got Acer Palmatum Rayusin.
But wait, we just recorded some amazing podcasts I want to give you a little bit of hype to, guys. We finished recording some podcasts. You're going to see us air a few of these, kind of interchangeable with ours. We recorded some amazing podcasts this week. One with the director of the J.C. Ralston Arboretum, Mark Wethington. He's a timber press author. Another with Bree Arthur. You're going to love her podcast. She does foodscaping. Got us into so many different plants over the years.
Bree the plant lady, she's amazing. All these people we've interviewed, Tony Avent, we've got, are just rock stars in the plant world. Greg Page.
Director of horticulture now at the J.C. Ralston. Been so many cool places.
And Bryce Lane.
Emmy Award-winning host Bryce Lane. Guys, we're bringing it with the podcast. Get excited. There's going to be some really fun interviews coming up. We've been doing a lot of, recently been doing a lot of countdowns, but the interviews haven't stopped. We got some great interviews lined up for you.
Guys, today we've got some giant 3 gallons of Acer Palmatum Rayusin. Rayusin gets as tall as you stake it. And these have been staked up to about 3.5 feet. They cascade downward in a nice weeping habit. It's one of those plants that's extremely cascading. It's exceptionally heat tolerant. It's easy for you to grow, but it has this fountain-like effect as it just droops and drapes downward in a really unique fashion, but not a lace leaf. This has more of a palmate leaf that really stands out from what's out there.
Guys, these are great. You want that instant gratification sizes? I've seen nurseries online doubling and tripling the prices of these, what we're selling these at right now. They're a great deal. You're going to enjoy these in your garden. A little bit of instant gratification too. I mean, there's a lot of good branches on these. They're already an excellent size plant. It's a great time to pick up a Rayusin or Ryusei, whatever you want to call it. The original name in Japan was Ryusei. Talon always tells us we should stick with that. Tends to go by Rayusin in America, so we want you to know it's the same plant there. Excellent durability. I've seen this growing in full sun in the Dallas-Fort Worth Botanical Garden. You can put this in some high heat exposures. It's durable. It's cascading. It's got great fall color and everything you want in a Japanese maple.
Kobayashi Momiji-in is a Japanese maple nursery that's been in existence for over 300 years. 28 generations of people growing Japanese maples at this nursery in Japan. And they're good friends of ours. We went and visited them. And whenever we go to Japan, we go visit them. They introduced Tamukiyama. So if you've got that in their garden, they introduced that.
Family.
They also introduced Rayus. And this is such an amazing plant that it's a staple now in the nursery trade. It's an awesome plant that you really need to have in your garden if you don't.
So shout out to the international community. If you're watching from Japan or anywhere in the world, let us know in those comment sections below. We love you guys. We can't ship to you. But thank you so much for subscribing and being part of that Maple Mafia. You guys keep subscribing to this channel. It keeps on growing. It allows us to do more and more ambitious things. We've got some crazy fun things lined up for you guys in 2024. The best is yet to come. I really appreciate you being part of that by subscribing to our channel.
Take care.
God bless you.
And have an awesome day.